Because we see a lot of disparities and overrepresentation in the minority community and victimization too. Many of the crimes that you mentioned that we're working with in McJurg, there's a victim attached to that, and they have constitutional rights in our system. So the district attorneys and the judges have to weigh the victim rights as well, and it's very complex. And it adds a layer to some of the work we're trying to do on in reducing the racial and ethnic disparities.
All right, thank you. Any other hands for questions? Okay.
I just wanted to ask, I'm not a student at Wilson Park, but probably after I sue the police, I'll pay a tuition and come here and get a law degree.
Right.
But I wanted to say that basically I have like a statement and then I have a question. Maybe if you dismantle the contract that you have with TriMet, you can reduce the amount of behavioral arrests that happen on TriMet, because that's still going to lead you to a whole lot of unnecessary arrests and unnecessary contact. Because I know I had an LRAG chasing me because I had an attitude problem. So if attitudes and behavior lead to arrests and aggressive force against minorities, then you might want to just leave that contract and that partnership alone and let TriMet handle their own accounting as far as fares are concerned.
Yeah.
We don't need I've had to advocate for children that have been tased and chased and strangled and handcuffed because they didn't have their information. And we've had Portland police officers that had enormous numbers and disparity numbers. Children at Jefferson and some of the schools near Troutdale have actually got on the buses and removed their IDs from them that are paid for by their schools. And we have counselors saying that they can't afford to keep providing more ID to these children that are marginalized, that without the expensive ID that we have for them that they're given to in the schools that has been taken from them on the buses by officers, that it's hard for them to get jobs and other things because they don't have the ID, okay? So that creates an additional disparity, that whole behavior relationship. Another issue that I wanted to ask you about is, when did the numbers jump? Have they always been that high in Oregon as far as the disparities of the minority communities here? And are they reducing, or did you just do that analysis? Is there any other data, let's say pre-2015?
I think the short answer is yes, there was. And around 2000, now I'm going by memory again, and the data analysis was not done by MacArthur, and data collection is more accurate now, more thorough, and it's accurate. So a little bit of this is comparing, to some degree, an apple and an orange. So in 2000, an analysis was done, 2000, 2001 or so. Analysis was done relative to racial and ethnic disparities. The numbers were higher than they were in the 2014 MacArthur report. But I say that by way of, I want to make sure you hear me say, those numbers were not as reliable as well. So does the lack of reliability and the accuracy relative to the collection of the data, does that arbitrarily make it look even worse in 2000 than it is now? And I say that by way of saying, I don't know, right? Possible, but the numbers were higher. I don't want to be trying to say that, discounting that. The numbers in 2014 are troubling. That's why we're here, and that's why we're doing the work that we're doing. So I don't want to declare that, boy, we're making this enormous progress.
Do you mind if I ask a question? So then, in my, let's say quantifying mine or whatever, I'm looking at the community partnerships that you work with in our communities, and a lot of them are funded with federal dollars. They have legislative funding, federal dollars, and some money that comes from the CDC and other partnerships within Multnomah County. All of them are partnered with you guys as wraparound services. Do you think that those partnerships in their capacity as relationship policing partners, some of them waiving the FERPA rights of families that are receiving assistance for their children, do you think that those relationships play into the high disparities? Because a lot of times when they're basically identifying people for resources, they're also referring people through the policing services. They're taking children away. They're identifying issues because some people have attitudes and they're referring them to the policing divisions. I've had to advocate for families whose children know their rights, and when they refuse to engage with officers, they're being incarcerated. And so when we talk about the rate of 30% of the people that are released from the system because they're, let out on their own recognizance, how many of those are minorities? And are they all minorities wearing the bracelets, or does all of the population wear the ankle bracelets that costs us a lot of money and seem to deter us from saying that we're not guilty.
So I guess it's a question about partnerships. Yeah, I'm not very educated on this subject
Yeah, they
myself.
got a lot of money within the audit, with the partnerships like Lipstick, the 25 agencies that are all partnered with you guys that attributed to the high disparity numbers because of their partnerships. I wonder, do you guys think that maybe releasing those relationships might kind of help you deal with those disparities?
Or other impacts besides what we've discussed today.
So while I will quickly get outside of my ability to kind of give statistics and recollection and things like this, I think it's accurate to say that as it relates to government's involvement, there is disparities in many, many different areas. They're going to include healthcare and who qualifies and receives healthcare and adequate
All
healthcare.
services are referred to.
They're going to fall in the category of education and how are we treating, access to schools, access to good schools, detention rates, higher disparity rates relative to detention and exclusion from schools. Poverty levels, we see a disproportionate impact as it relates to jobs, who's working and who's getting a fair wage. I think it's accurate to say, and this is where I'm outside of my really true ability to comment, I guess, firmly, other than to say those disparities exist. And they need work done on
Do
them.
they
As
contribute
they
to the
then,
incarceration rate?
I think they contribute. I think all of the things that impact our society whether it's racism, whether it's implicit bias, certainly those things, very important negative impacts to our community. When we combine those, they sometimes, they unfortunately frequently result in contact with the criminal justice system. So we are part of a greater problem that needs to be addressed, it needs to be said, it needs to be addressed. I hope that we've spent some time talking to you about the fact that we've been working on this in this area. It is important to us. It's important to, frankly now, more than ever, our national conversation is it's very important for all of us to recognize and get together, enjoying one another and helping each other as it relates to many things that are going on in the federal government, for example, that are negative. Racism should not be tolerated, right? Sexism should not be tolerated. Xenophobia, not tolerated. Homophobia, not tolerated. And yet,
Where's this stuff? It is tolerated.
We're nearly done with the time here.
I think it's called
Sorry, I have a final question. That I've been curious. We've been listening, and I've been moderating about implicit bias training. Because I know that at the DA's office there's an implicit bias training, but I'm wondering about that and from the police angle as well, the sheriff's office angle.
Yeah, so in the police bureau, like I stated before, we teach the new officers to come in the history of racism in the United States, specifically the history of racism in the state of Oregon. We also touch on stereotypic threat and implicit bias and conscious bias, institutional bias. And we do scenario-based trainings instead of just solely bookwork training. We have scenarios we set up and put the recruits through. And also every year we have in-service training for folks that are currently working, so it's continual training. In those training-based scenarios, we set up the scenarios now to tease out implicit bias and awareness of that. So it's embedded in our core competencies. It's a continual training process.
Your training actually does not mention implicit bias. I've sat through the new police training. Your trainer does not know the term implicit bias.
Thank you for your comments, but we're actually wrapping up here. I have about 1 minute. Do I have one final student question? Yes.
Yeah, so this question is for DA Rod Underhill. Takes a little background, so bear with me.
We have 1 minute of recording
Right, I'll
time.
talk really fast. Okay, so back on May 12, 2010, 25-year-old Black Portlander Keaton Otis was pulled over by the Portland Police Bureau for looking like he could be a gang